What up guys, your boy Carthus, and we are back with yet another one. Now what you're seeing right now is a thunder build or a lightning build, and this is by far my most favorite build that I've put together thus far. I want to put out other builds, but I also don't want to stop playing with this build because it is so much fun to play with. Now it's nothing like my other two builds that I've already put out that deal with a lot of damage or big burst damage or one-shot damage, but this one overall hits very hard. As you can see, you're using a lot of different specials, you're using a lot of your clones or whatever to help you put out the debuff on the enemies so they take 20% more damage. And as you can see, we just absolutely melt health bars with this. It has made my playthrough extremely easy ever since I switched over to this build. So let's go ahead and dive into the things you need to make this build tick. Alright guys, starting off with the build. Now this is a New Game Plus build because we are building around this mythical weapon right here, the Stormflash Longstaff, and you can only get this in New Game Plus. And the reason I like it so much is A, because it hits very hard and has a nice crit chance, but its unique effect is very fun to use. You have to do a fully charged heavy attack, and what this does is allows a thunder buff or debuff to build up on you, and when you have that thunder debuff on you, you are allowed to do electric or thunder attack with your basic attack, which shocks the enemy and eventually puts a thunder debuff on them. So we're looking for fast attacks. There's a couple ways to do this. You can do a fully charged heavy to build up the thunder debuff, or you could do a fully charged heavy and roll cancel out of it. That way you're not locked into the heavy attack and you're still able to dodge, and you can just start putting the thunder debuff on enemies so they can take 20% more damage. The armor we're wearing is the long scale battle robe. Now we have this completely maxed out because if you have it completely maxed out, you can see that it further increases thunder damage, and this goes for every piece of armor. It does the exact same thing, so you need to max this out to get the most out of it. Also, the chest piece is quite nice. Our Vengeful Mirage will inflict Thunder Bane, which is also very good because we can just apply shock that much easier to enemies. And as far as helmet, wear what you want. You can wear these for a little bit more defensive, right? I wear this because it gives me more damage when I'm at lower health, or you can come down and wear this to make perfect dodges easier. I don't really feel like this is needed. I feel like dodging in this game is extremely easy, so this is a waste. I would wear this or one of these at the top. As far as vessels, we are using the fan. Now you can also use Weaver's Needle, but I feel like the fan is better suited for this build just because you can lock enemies down with a hard CC or crowd control that doesn't allow them to move much, and you can just run up and apply the shock debuff to them so you can do 20% more damage. It just makes that much easier. If you're looking for a little bit more overall damage, I would use the Weaver's Needle. As far as spirits, we are using the Rat Governor. I feel like this is the best one for thunder damage. There's a couple others that you can use, but this is the best in my opinion. And if you go ahead and max them out, you can have 3 rats shooting the electricity, and it immediately applies thunder on any enemy that you're targeting. As far as Curios, we are using the Beast Buddha for a little bit more crit damage. We're using the Cat Eye for a little bit more crit hit chance, and we are using the Seashell for just overall attack. You can put anything you want here, but I would suggest, doing something that gives you a little bit more crit and more damage. All right, getting into relics. Keep in mind, I am on New Game Plus, so I will have double on some of these. If you're playing through and you only have one, I would highly suggest doing Opportune Watcher. It just goes better because we are doing a lot of light attacks with this build. If you're looking for a little bit more crit hit damage, then this is not that bad either. Moving on to the next one, Whistling Wind is a little bit better for this because we are doing a lot of perfect dodges and we can just stack more damage with that. If you want this as well, because we are doing varied combos, it is not a bad thing to have either, but I don't feel like we really need that much because once you understand how to do the varied combos, you should be fine. Going into Hubris, I think Hold Breath is a little bit better just because we are dodging a lot, so moderately extends dodge invincibility duration is quite nice, but you can also go with Lingering Aroma as you have here. It just really suits who you are as a player. Moving on to the next one, I feel like Refreshing Taste is much better than Spread the Word. If you want Spread the Word, go for it. Refreshing Taste just makes more sense to us because we're getting critical hit chance out of it and we're just doing more damage. Last on, I think Nimble Body is better because this is another heavy charge build. Now we're not trying to heavy charge for the full on attack, we're just heavy charging just so we can buff ourselves or debuff ourselves with shock so we can do shock damage. So this just helps with that. And if you had the secret ending, then obviously I would go for Elegance of Simplicity, and that moderately increases light attack damage. Alright, getting into the points. As far as stamina, your goal is to get down here. That way we can leave illusions when we perfect dodge, because with the armor that we're wearing, it allows us to do electricity with those, and it puts more of the debuff on enemies, so go ahead and do that. As far as martial arts, I would max this out because we are doing a lot of light attacks with this build. That's pretty much what this build is all about. And if you want, you can max this out if you want. It just helps us to apply the debuff to enemies a lot faster, but even without it, we're still going to apply the debuff. As far as survival goes, I would just put points in the crit hit damage, and then more damage. If you want to put points anywhere else because you have a lot of points, you can. I would maybe suggest putting stuff into rough skin because we are taking 20% more damage when we are debuffed ourselves. As far as staff stances go, we are using the smash stance again just because we are allowed to move around and charge, and the only way we can put a debuff on enemies or buff ourselves completely is by charging up to be able to get the thunder buff, so that's why we're doing it. So I'd go ahead and max out the staff stance. Mysticism, immobilize is the best. If you want to run something else, you can. You don't need to run immobilize. I would pick whatever you want here. And in alteration, I think cloud step works the best for this, just so we can charge in invisibility and we get more crit out of it like the last video. So run what you want here. Strand, I think pluck of many is the best just because we're looking for applying damage and applying the debuff to enemies. Once we get these guys out, we're doing a lot of damage anyway, so I would highly suggest that. And last but not least, as far as transformations go, I'd put points here just so our perfect dodges allow us to stack damage. I'd put points here just so we can have a little bit more defense because we are eating a lot of damage on this just because we are taking 20% more. And then last but not least, I would definitely put points here just because it increases our overall thunder damage, and this is a thunder build. Everything you see is just because I have a lot of points and you don't really need all these. It's all up to you. I would maybe put a point here so you can just have more cooldowns, but it's really not needed. And real quick, as far as transformations go, because we are using transformations, you have two that you can use. I think Golden Lining is very good, but it's also a very hard boss to fight. So if you don't want to deal with that, you can progress the quest line and be able to, thanks for the subscription. You can also progress the quest line of Old Boy right here and get Dark Thunder. Now this one's a little bit more sluggish in my opinion, but once you actually build up the electricity on him, he hits much harder. So it's actually up to you what you want to run for transformations. All right, guys, that pretty much sums it up. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and comment. It helps this channel out a lot and it helps me out a lot. In the future, I'm going to put out a poison build next. That's what I'm looking for. I'm already playing with it. I'm already having a blast with it. I am going to miss doing this thunder build because it is so much fun and I like being able to have rapid fire attacks and doing a bunch of big bursts of damage, but I need to move forward. Also, Space Marine is on its way in, so I'm probably going to play that next. I'm either going to do the poison build and a defensive build, or I'm just going to do a poison build and step on to the next game. Anyways, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the future. Later, guys.